Righto, so we're here, Tackle Talk again. Welcome to Rod and Range in Glenorchy. A lot of talk today around the Flathead closure. So there's a lot of conversations going on, like particularly the lack of consultation. So decision made without any consultation with the recreational sector. Like they're saying that there's science available that necessitates a closure. The fishery's fished out. There's a lot of people saying, well, that's not entirely true. There's a lot of undersized fish, but not so many of the larger fish. We've seen a series of size limit increases, which makes it difficult to judge. They're saying, oh, nobody's catching size fish, but when they brought in the bag of 2, they increased it to 35, and there's still plenty in that 32 to 35 limit.
Yep.
They brought in a slot limit, which is 35 to 40 centimetres. Nobody's letting go 40 centimetre fish because they're not really available that commonly within the closed area. I think there's wide agreement on that. So maybe the size limit missed the mark. If the maximum size was 32, then we know that there's plenty of fish above 32 that would have that, freedom to grow because they're not available for harvest. Whereas at 40, there's precious few getting let go.
Yep.
At 35 centimetres, like 95% of the fish that you clean are going to be females. So, there's reports saying that there's not enough large females in the system, and that's affecting productivity or recruitment outcomes. But that slot limit isn't actually protecting the females. In fact, that slot limit is, making it almost an entirely female fishery.
Agreed.
So, but the closure, like here we are in a tackle shop, I have had some conversation with people that are saying their business is going down the gurgler because people are getting rid of their boats, nobody's interested in fishing anymore. So there's a whole heap of noise around the decision and the process and engaging with recreational fishers. How are you seeing that in the tackle shop?
Well, for the first 30 years owning a tackle shop, the flathead business was probably equated to 50% of my turnover. You add your trout, your bream, your game fishing stuff made up your other 50%. So it was a big part of your business. It was your mum and dad's coming in, getting their little rod and reel combos for their kids, and same as them getting them for the boats, and off they'd go. So it was 50% of my business. The closure 2 years ago, November 23, came out to a 2 fish bag limit. That really hit us hard. That probably took 95% of revenue away from that 50% that you had in your business that was flathead. So in essence, and now to close it altogether, we've lost 50% of our business. Now, 50% of your business is a lot to lose.
Absolutely.
And, as you look around our shop, we've got a lot of stock that is for flathead. And now it's just going to sit there. I understand that the snapper fishery is taking hold. And in Frederick Henry Bay and where we're saying we can't go for our flathead anymore, that's certainly one thing we can go after, but that's certainly going to put pressure on that fish. It's going to put pressure on other fish as well. As far as loss of revenue, as far as the shop goes, it's 50% of our business that we've lost.
Do you reckon there's much of a chance people are going to transfer their effort to the East Coast? Like the bag limit of 5,
well,
there
is that too. You've also got the for people to tow their boats to those areas. You've got overcrowded boat ramps there to contend with if you're going to go offshore, and then you've also got the people that have got the small tinnies that want to catch their feeder flathead are going to take that risk at times to go out offshore, because let's face it, the East Coast is offshore. They're going to go out there and anything could happen to them. So closing the inshore waters could mean lives. You just don't know.
Yeah. Righto. So transfer of effort. So righto. So in relation to the government, like tackle shops are a great little talking point. People come in and they're always wanting to talk about fishing.
Absolutely.
So in response to the government, what are we hearing? Are we hearing like it's all right? Is there...
No, we're hearing bad, and bad.
So is there trust in the government decision-making?
Absolutely not. For me, And, you know, I've been doing this for nearly 40 years now. For me, and the affected area is my back door. I've fished it for 40 years, and you know they continually tell me to back the science in. There certainly hasn't been enough information fed to us or tackle shops in general to tell us, you know, what's happened in the last 2 years. You know, our closure to 2 and now our closure to none. I haven't even seen much information. There's been bits and bobs, but I've myself had to go look for it. So, you know, trust the science, they say. I've got my doubts, John.
So there's no engagement with the tackle sector as
Zero.
But as an education tool for fisheries. You know, like if somebody came in here and said, hey, look, I really want you on board. We're going to keep Flathead alive, but what we need is that genuine engagement with the community about stewardship of the fishery and making sure that there's, you know, like that available information and engagement with the sector so that they understand the importance of where we are and doing the right thing is something that we could pass on. Is there anything coming from...
I thought that was going to be in the last 2 years. From November 23. I thought that was going to be our time.
But has anybody been in and asked?
No,
can
absolutely
you help
not.
us out with that?
No,
Right.
we've had nothing. Absolutely, as you know, a fishing tackle shop, we've had zero, nothing. They just bang closed it and we're gone. So all the stock now that we've got sitting on the shelf,
Gather and dust. All right, now I'll just swing back to trusting the science. So fisheries management generally, depleted species include calamari, sand flathead, crays, ab, scallop, stripes, bastard, trumpeter, banded, mowong, etc. So, you know, like Tasmania has this massive list of depleted fisheries and we're told to trust the science. So to me, it's like, all right, well, what is the science doing if we've got so many depleted species?
Yeah.
You know, so is there a real wake-up call to government here around, you know, having a 20% limit reference point hasn't worked for us. We're now finding ourselves in a position where every species is fished to near depletion and we've got all of them requiring rebuild at the same time.
Where is the science of that to show me? Just a normal recreational angler. Where's that science? Where do I find that science that they've come up with for me to be able to look at and say, oh, okay, this is why this is?
Well, I think there's a couple of differences. So I did write something down here, and it was a letter, not from the current mob in town, the department, but from a couple of years ago. And it said, and it was in relation to sand flathead, this species is predominantly harvested by the recreational fishery, 98%, and as such, economic considerations are different to those that would be factored into management of a species with a greater proportion of commercial harvest. So if you're talking about ecosystem science, how is it that we can find articles that are indicating that management can be different for a recreational species to a commercial species? Does that make sense to you? Is that fair?
It does. I mean, it does make sense to me. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'd like to see the science that is taking it to a no-catch limit. You know, that's what I'm looking for.
But that's what I'm saying. Science informs management decisions.
Yes.
They don't tell the managers what the decision needs to be. They'll say, righto, the stock assessment is X, and
are they telling management, and then management are not telling us?
Well,
somebody's not telling us.
You've been hanging around with me for long enough. I've been saying, you know, catch share is absolutely something that we need to consider as part of a harvest strategy.
Yep.
And that's catch share between the commercial sector and the recreational sector.
Yeah.
And, you know, like some species, you know, like if you're talking about king flathead, you still got a bag of 20. I think a bag of 20 is maybe too many. Do you need 20 fish?
I mean, a bag of 20, when you look at the cost of... you know, your boat registration, your boat upkeep, your trailer upkeep, your fuel in your car, your tackle. For some people, they only get to go like once a month, you know, because of work commitments, family commitments, and the cost of living these days. They get once a month to go fishing. So if 3 of them go, and it's unlikely they're going to catch 60, because catching 60 realistically is fairly hard to do in a day.
Yeah,
so if they catch 40, well, I'm happy for them to take those home. You know, the bag limit on those, you know, I think is fair. it gives them the ability to be able to catch a feed and give a feed to their parents or freeze a feed, to last them till they can go out again in another month. Because let's face it, none of this is cheap.
No, none of it is. Mind you, I am a recreational fisher, so I'm not justifying my existence on the water through cost return to me.
Some people do though, John.
Well, and that's the next point that I was going to make is, like some people...
This is where the sale of boats are going to go because it's just not viable.
But some people are saying, righto, well, I'm not playing golf or basketball because there's no return to me. I can get a day's enjoyment, great scenery, interaction with wildlife, and I get a feed at the end of the day. I mean, that's part of being a recreational fisher. So that's sort of where it sits with me. But I think there needs to be fish for the recreational sector to catch. And this is, like I did write an article and put it up on Recfish Tas the other day around management of tiger flathead. So the trawl operations outside Eagle Hawk Neck, so from Maria down to Bruny, have paused.
Yep.
And over the last 4 years, we have seen a significant return of tiger flathead.
Yes.
Like I'm saying, they're saying there's only 2 Danish seiners left in Tasmania, but one of them is working predominantly in the closed area.
Yeah.
So, like all of the talk about, it's all the recreational's fault and we're going to close the recreational fishery and remain, or have the Danish seiner remain in place in Storm Bay.
Well, that's a disgrace.
Yeah, but you've been around long enough to know that those king flats used to come all the way into Cremorne, 7 Mile Beach,
absolutely,
and they were there, and they're not there anymore. No. So, management of other fisheries needs to be a consideration.
Management over the years, as I've seen it go down, it's been disgusting. That's a word that I've got to use because that's what it is. This has been going on for the last 10 years, and the management has just been terrible. And we've now got we are where we are now because of poor management. Well, and we're suffering as rec anglers. I mean, it's okay for me. I can go in a bigger boat and I can get out there and I can go and catch king flathead. That's not my great concern. My concern is for the general public, the people that are on the jetties, the people that are going out in little tinnies, the families, mum and dad and the kids taking them fishing. What do they do? What do they do now?
Well, what do they do now? Now, this is another, normal topic for recreational fishers. People will say, this is what we do as an outlet. It's stress relief. It's good for our mental health. It's good for our health. Generally, it's good for keeping in contact with your mates. Gives us something to talk about.
Obviously, don't care about that anymore.
So, but that is where I'm thinking. It's like, okay, well, we're happy to kick the rec sector to the curb.
Yep.
And what's coming back to us. This is the next bit that I'll get onto. So you mentioned snapper before. We've talked about tiger flathead, and there's no indication that they're going to adjust the commercial catch of tigers to give us a fair share of them.
Yeah.
So, what do you reckon is reasonable for, if they're going to close sand flathead? And I'm not completely against that. I think there's some flaws in that.
We'll be able to show the people on Saturday because we're going to go in for a fish in the depleted zone. And we're going to fish it. So we're going to post a video of what's in there so you, the people, can see what science is saying is depleted. I believe otherwise. I've been fishing that area for a lot of time and I still fish that area and I do not believe in their science. It's as simple as that. I don't believe in it because I fish it regularly.
I think the prevalence of large sand flathead in the closed zone
that would probably be the only one that I've sort of seen. Personally, myself, I think there should be still a bag limit of 8 to 10, but reduce the size limit to 28 to 34. They're saying we've got stunted fish. Well, why don't we get those out? Why don't we get those out and give the breeders a chance to...
What'd you say, 18 to 24?
18 to 24, no.
27 to 32.
Yeah, 28 to 32 or 27 to 32. Let people catch 8 of those. That's a feed. And we pull them out. Get them out.
And that, so at the moment, if you clean a 35 centimetre fish, chances are it's female. We know that the males are smaller fish generally, so it would also quite likely increase the probability of having males in your catch.
Yes, yeah. It is, I to be honest, I've cleaned thousands of flathead out of that area, and there is a good amount of males. You know, they're saying we haven't got many males, but
Yeah, but you don't retain them at 35 because they don't get to that size. The vast majority of 35 centimetre fish are females.
yes, correct.
And that's what I'm saying. If you drop the size
Limit,
and this goes into, they're talking about restocking. But I agree with you. I think there's probably a couple of million flathead in Frederick Henry and Norfolk Bay. If they're talking about bringing flathead down, you know, like they'd have to stock about 1 million to give that gene pool a percentage chance of improving. You know, if you thought 10,000 fish being brought down and put into those areas with a closed area, 10,000 v 2 million, it's about 0.5 of a percent.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I can't see that there's a plan in place that actually makes sense as far as a rebuild strategy goes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not against a closure, but I think there needs to be information provided to us that we can absorb, talk about amongst ourselves, and then talk about in public with the scientists there so that they can happily...
When we talk scientists, you know, I think it's an independent science survey we need. I mean, you know, how we get that, where we get that from, I don't know. But, you know, if we could have someone independent come in and do a survey of that, which I think has already happened, and the news is that I got from that is that things are looking okay. You know, it's different science than coming from the other science. So we're talking about science here, you know. Too many smokes and mirrors
There's a lot of
for
different
me to
people saying a
understand
lot
what's
of
going
different
on.
things.
Yeah, there's a
So-
lot of people saying a lot of different things. And so, you
and
know,
they're fishing in different areas, so there's
Yeah.
like there's a mishmash of it. But this is for everybody at home. Drop us a comment.
Yeah.
Like, let us know what you're catching.
Yeah,
let us know what your
you think.
thoughts are. Let us know what your thoughts are about making snapper a recreational only species in the closed area. Let us know your thoughts about, you know, turning off the Danish seiner only in the closed areas. They've got the rest of Tasmania that they can fish out of, and have a chat about what you reckon about the management of this fishery is and the consultation with the recreational sector. You know, are we really in a position where a minister can close a fishery without consultation? I think that's the greatest disrespect that can be applied to a recreational sector. You know, like, minister comes in, it's quite clear from his body language and the way that he speaks that he's got absolutely no understanding of the fisheries, entirely reliant on advice that he's getting from elsewhere, and he makes a decision without giving us a chance to have a say about whether it's right or wrong or what ideas we've got about how it might be managed.
Yeah, I agree. I think, make the comments. Let us know what you think. John and I are going to do a video on Saturday in the depleted area, so that'll give you something to view. And let's go and have a look and see what's out there, John.
Righto. All
Excellent.
right. Cheers, mate.